Hi, and in this short video I shall be explaining how I created this, which is known as a tiny planet. This is done by making a panoramic and morphing it in a certain way to produce this. To start off with, I made sure that I took loads of photos. As you can see, I took about 59 photos to generate a panoramic with. Obviously, I used Photoshop to create my panoramic, which here. So I've already made the panoramic, but to cut down time. So to make the panoramic, you go to File, Automate, and Photo Merge. This allows you to open up a separate program or add-on in Photoshop where you select what files you want to use. I use it as a folder. You can select file or folder. I did folder as that's how I had it set up. And then from there you select how you want it to do it, and then you click OK, and it will automatically merge it all together for you. It's a lot easier than trying to do it how you're used to by stitching together everything picture by picture, which gave me this as the final image. Now with this, I obviously use the select tool to cut out this portion of what I wanted, which obviously from then I copy pasted it. So copying it and then making a new file, which will be exact size of what I've just copied, because this is what how my Photoshop is. From pasting that, it will fit perfectly into this screen, and then here is that. Now I want that obviously to be a tiny planet, and that way it is right now. We'll put the buildings inside the planet. So to begin with, I need to I need to transform it to make it be flipped 180 degrees, which then allow the planet to be having the buildings coming out of it instead of being in of it. Now from here you go to distort, and from distort polar coordinates. Polar coordinates then allows you to, it will open up and you'll have your polar coordinates there. You select how you want your polar coordinates. This will then, however you want it. So, because as we're using it as a rectangle, you want it to be that way. Instead, because you can either pick from polar to rectangle or rectangle to polar. As it's from a rectangle, we choose rectangle to polar, which then by clicking OK will automatically set up the add-on to start producing the final image. This is a little process that takes a bit of time, obviously, because it's trying to stretch it out into the right shape by meeting the left-hand side to the right-hand side, making the circle. This, obviously, as this file currently is a very big size, it's too big to be using on most computers, because it's just the amount of information that is trying to be loaded. It doesn't actually work that well. Okay, as you can see now, here is the final polar coordinated panoramic, which, as you can see, has put the sides together. Obviously, I don't want it this way around. I want the building to be up, or like the main building, which is Guildhall, on the top. We go up here, we go back to the transform, and we want to flip it 180 degrees again. This will put the Guildhall on the top once it loads, so it will allow the Guildhall to be on top, so it makes it how it is, and then we will want to make it the right size. So we'll go there again, we'll choose the canvas. From the canvas we're going to change it to pixels, because centimeters is too much to deal with, and you can see it's a very high file. So from here we're going to change it to 1000 pixels each. So it's a lot easier for that, and then obviously it's not going to be happy with this, because as you see, because it doesn't want the canvas to be smaller than the actual image. So here you just proceed, and once you have that size, then you can just Control T, which will bring up the transform tool, and from that I just resized it to actually fit within the actual space. Which then you hit enter for it to start the transform to put it all into the right size. And by zooming in, you can see this is at a more reasonable size. You can see around the edges where it needs some work to be done, but that's fine, like up here in the top corner and all that. That's fine, because that can be done with some from some clone stamping and also some patch repair tools. And also, like where the buildings meet, you want to get them sorted out, because you don't want them meeting quite harshly. You want it to be a bit more smooth, and also where bits of sky have been left out. And that is how I produced my final tiny planet.